to what they get to say in class, you know. So all right, so good morning everybody. So thank you so much for coming to class this morning. So let's just go straight into I've sent you the lecture notes, I've sent you the reading materials, but just to kind of get us back on track where we are in terms of our the schedule for the semester. I just want to go back to I keep doing this, but just it helps you to reinforce for you what are the kind of issues we're looking at. So as I've said, in this particular course, we have 4 learning outcomes, right? Be able to write critical essays on literary, non-literary text, deeply analyze literary text and identify literary elements and devices, which is something we will be doing today, right? Display the ability to read text critically and restructure it creatively. The bit about restructure it creatively, that was your assignment, video essay. The ability to read text critically, we've been doing it throughout the semester, and of course for today's session we'll also be looking at that. And finally, learning outcome number 4, display the ability to identify social, cultural, political, economic issues in literary text and contribute critical comments via, tutorial tasks, essays, and all that. And today we will be looking at one aspect of it, being able to identify social, cultural, and gender issues through the focus. The next week, we will continue with that element, looking at social, cultural, even political, and even to the extent of the economic situation. So as a quick recap, we've done, these are the topics that we've covered: text and language, text and techniques, text and theme. We looked at specifically issues and themes. Text and themes, again, we looked at issues and the unsaid. And last week, we started looking at critical interpretation of text, bringing in reader response as a potential lens, right? And this week, we continue with the theme of text and interpretation, looking primarily on another lens, gender criticism, right? So I've given you the lecture notes. I just want to go straight into it. And I've also given you the reading task. So I want to kind of draw your attention to various things. We will have a 5-minute break halfway through class as per previous sessions. So let's just jump straight into it. So this was last week's lesson, text and interpretation, reader response. So for this week, I just want to use as many literary and popular culture corpuses as possible to kind of just introduce to you how we can use gender, specifically feminist criticism or feminist theory, as a framework in reading these texts that we are bombarded with. Every time now there's no such thing as switching on the radio, listening to music. You get to have it on your devices, right? You're listening to the playlist. If you're on Spotify, you can create your own playlist. Now you're listening to all these songs, you're reading these stories. How well are we aware that we are in fact being bombarded with gender portrayals, be it a conventional one, a traditional one, or even ones that appear to break conventions? And how do we, as consumers, how do we receive them? Especially in the current classroom we're in, which is quite unique. We're all female, right? So how do we observe this representation of being a female in the current landscape? So I'm going to expose you to a few different ones, and then I want to hear your choices, because yesterday I asked you all to come up with your choice of popular songs that you may enjoy, and then let's just analyze some of them. Okay, so something to kind of get the discussion going. always think of gender as a dual experience that you are living through. There is gender that is at the private level, all right, the core of you. So if I asked you, in terms of your private experience of being a female, how would you answer that? What does being a female mean? Being a woman, being somebody from this particular gender, what does it mean to you in terms of your private experience? Can someone start it off?
I'll go first, Doctor. Being a woman is being responsible for almost everything, consciously and unconsciously as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's huge. So let me capture that first. Um,
Do you want to do the jam board, doctor, or what?
that's a good idea.
Huh?
That's a good idea. So go on, go on. Let me. Yeah. So I like what Ruby said. Could you repeat that again, Ruby, verbatim, word for word? Could you repeat that again?
All right. Being a woman is
Mm.
being responsible for almost everything, consciously or unconsciously. I said almost everything because I cannot convincingly say everything, but I think we all know that we are responsible for almost everything. Consciously means there will be social repercussions externally. People will tell us, why are you being so mean and whatnot. Unconsciously is how we police ourselves into being a good woman lah. I mean, in my experience, because my parents are no longer around, so it's a lot of unconscious things. I behave very well because I tell myself to behave very well lah. So
Mm.
that is my experience of being a woman. We try to be responsible. I'm not sure if that is just a guise for being dutiful or stay out of trouble or being of a peaceful nature.
Mm.
But that is my experience.
Can you all see the Jamboard right now?
Yes, Doctor.
Yes.
Okay, somebody else. I've taken
Would
I've
would
taken
it be
Ruby's.
okay to elaborate on what Ruby has said
Please
because
do, Sha.
responsible?
Please do. Please do. I hope I make
Like
sense.
this morning, right, doctor? Um, it's sort of like an unsaid or unspoken rule, not in
Mm.
this house, but it is just like because my brother, he rushes to work almost every day.
Mm.
So if I'm not going to the office, I'm at home. It would be my responsibility to do almost the littlest things in the house, like the pull the curtain, open the back door, stuff like that. But he could have done that, but we naturally, me and my mother naturally understand that he's rushing to work. Um, we're home anyway, so it's our work, something like that. It's the littlest thing. It's like domestic responsibilities of some sort. Yeah.
I agree with that so much.
Somebody else.
Doctor, here is Alice,
Yes.
and yeah, and I want to share something in China. The main trait to be a woman in our society is to be independent, and but if in before in very traditional family, when women should are supposed to stay at home and do whatever all things about home, children are the responsibilities of women. But now women are encouraged to work like a man and have their own dreams and their own to achieve. Uh, that's I know that's the structure or the goals for women. But you know, the I said in our culture also remains, because if as a woman, if you really work very hard and have some achievements, your family, the colleague around you may push you to marry, or your husband may say, you don't take your responsibility to take care of your home. This responsibility is also belongs to woman. So that's confused.
So yeah, in current modern China,
Yeah.
21st century China, women are in fact encouraged to go out and work and get a job and go for their dreams. They are in fact encouraged to do this. But what you're saying is, at the same time, they are also reminded to settle down. Is that the way it is?
Yeah, the responsibility didn't change in family or the generations, or a man also think this responsibility should belong to women.
So settling down, raising a family,
Yeah.
it is like that, yeah?
Yeah. If you continue working hard, but don't get married or have kids, the society will push you to do that.
Thank you. Xiaoqing, do you want to share?
Yes. I think women are first and foremost classified on the basis of gender. But as the economy develops, women's roles are becoming more diverse, like being a happy stay-at-home mom or having your own business and family at the same time, or not getting married and focusing on your career. Since the 1980s, women have become more and more independent, which I think it is the most special meaning of women. They no longer need to rely on marriage or other things, but only their own spirit.
I'm just summarizing what I hear from everyone. But so far, what I want to hear is what it means to you. You know, I want to know what does it matter? Does your gender matter? So let's have a look. What Ruby said. You know, this is how you saw it. That, you know, you're responsible for almost everything, consciously and unconsciously. I hear you. Seriously, I hear you. Wait till you have your own family. It's like, oh my goodness gracious. I so hear you. But what does it mean to be a female to you? That sense of responsibility, is that because of your gender, you think? Or is that because that's how family have raised you? Meaning maybe you're the eldest, maybe you're the responsible one. You know, there's always one in the family that, you know, you can't really trust or you can't really rely on, kind of a thing, you know? So is that because you're a female, or is that what I'm saying is, does your gender matter in this equation?
Yeah, if I can just respond to that, Doctor. it does matter within a family context. So thank you for clarifying that, I think, Doctor. So in a family, this may not necessarily be a bad thing, to be a responsible person. So personally, I love being a female. It matters to me. Oh God.
How?
Yeah.
How?
I'm
That's
so
the bit
glad
that
that,
I
yeah,
want to know.
I'm so glad that this is a female only class. It matters to me because I believe it makes me more humane, more compassionate, more sensitive. And of course, in the context of Malaysia, being a Malay woman, I am very privileged because I'm of the dominant majority. However, being a woman, I am aware that within my privilege, I'm also, a lot of expectations marginalize me. And
Explain.
all right, for example, like wearing the hijab. I wear the hijab because it will be a scandalous thing in my family to take it off. So if you don't want to wear it, you cannot start wearing it. You get what I mean, Shah? Like, like if once you put it on, once you
Yes,
put
you
it
never
on,
go
it's
back.
gonna be on until you die. There's no like, And then my youngest sister, she knew that, so she has never put it on. So now she it doesn't get put on. So that I realized also the choice is a little bit skewed lah. All right. And then there's also as a female in a family, I wouldn't say woman, but as a female in the family, there is that you must be smart, domestically and publicly. Especially
Smart, meaning?
smart in that you should know how to excel, and not just being average, but you should know how to excel. Being a smart, intelligent student, but at the same time, you know how to not run the household, but basically do things in the household. But that is running the household. Yeah. So you will, and then there's oh God, feel very bad for saying this. And then as a female in a familial context, you will get told off very easily. So the policing is there lah. Or you're not doing this good enough. You're not doing this good enough. So the policing, I think, is 5 times more intense.
Yeah, that's the bit I want to know. How
Yeah.
we police ourselves. What do you mean by that?
For example, if if the tea is not colored enough, then your mother will tell you, how can you not know how to serve tea? But it's a very micro level sort of aggression, but you get reminded of it. Or if you are doing the laundry the wrong way, and then you will get police for it. So you'll be reminded. And then, so the favorite one is, because this is my second master, right? So my family would have this thing, you don't even know how to do this. You have 2 masters. What good is that? What good are those 2 masters if you cannot, like cut the fish right? And I'm like, okay.
I have a question. Who is
Yes.
the voice in your head, all of you? Who is the voice in your head when we talk about this idea of policing ourselves? Or, when you're about to do something, you're like, better not do that. You're going to get yourself into trouble if you did that. So, who is that voice in your head, do you think? Is it your mom? Is it your dad? Is it your grandmother? Or is it your own voice now?
It used to be maternal figures. I say mother figures because mothers and aunties. To be honest, men don't
Same.
say this. Yeah, men don't say this. They don't dare to, because we will be like, what do you know? But mother figures. And then obviously cousins and sisters emulate what is being said by figures of authority. So they would repeat that literally lah. Oh God, I think you guys can relate to this lah. So whatever that the mothers say, and later the daughters will say it as well. And I say it, I'm also one of the aggressors, because we keep on policing and shaming each other because we don't want to suffer alone. So yes, so that is so the policing is it happens. So the aggressor may becomes the one being aggressed. The one policing may be policed. So for example, if my cousin tell me, oh, she wants to do this, so I will just say, you go do it, but don't let your parents know. And I feel very
yeah.
bad. Yeah, I
But
feel
you find ways. That means you don't say don't do it.
Yeah.
You say that, but you say do it, but make sure your parents don't know. That means there are ways for you to kind of mitigate the situation. So
That
you're
is
not
completely true.
you're not getting them to repeat the things that was done to you. You're not
Hopefully,
now becoming
hopefully.
the bearer of the culture and ensuring
Oh,
that
no.
that culture is maintained, and and you become the one that ensures that is maintained. Does that happen in your lives, you think, all of you?
Uh, I think will be it is it's part of like our responsibility to like see them have fun, these kids, right? Our cousins have fun, but at the same time, like, know your limits, okay? Yeah, just to
So
remind them.
as
Yeah.
a member of the female, in the cultural community, in the household, you find ways for the younger generation to break the loop, the policing that you went through. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I
Not
think
break,
that's fair to
but I
say.
think expand, because
Mm.
my parents allowed me freedom, more freedom than they had, but of
Mm.
course it's still limited. So I wish for the younger cousins to be able to expand as well. I feel like breaking is something that I don't know if I will ever see in my lifetime, to be honest. But perhaps expand autonomy. Yeah, but the thing is, I see that the autonomy is getting smaller now, Sha. I'm sure you see this in all of your, some of your cousins, especially.
How do you spell mole? M-O-U-L-D?
I
That
think
M-O-L-D?
that's
MOULD
correct. That's
is
correct.
that's the British word, so we can use
British.
that, doctor. Completely, we can use that.
So do you see? I mean, I'm not hearing from Alice and Cherish, but I would like to hear the Chinese perspective after this. But because you're all a younger generation, so do you see your role as a female even within the family unit? Okay, let's not even go to the society. Even within the family unit, do you see your role as helping to break the mold or the expectations or the stereotypes, or do you see your role as ensuring that the tradition is kept? How do you see? How do you view your role?
Oh,
I
the
think a
first
bit
one,
of both,
actually.
doctor. Yeah, the
Is
first
it
one,
both,
yes.
Sha? The thing is, right?
Both, I try to be nice.
Yeah, like those that I can influence. For example, my younger siblings, I confidently try to make them feel like, okay, you can do what you want, but you must do it well. I feel so bad. You can make your own decisions, but
Right?
make the good ones. But my cousins, I cannot help them because I may need their parents' help, so I cannot, you know. But yeah, but those I have, but this is very sad. Those I have power over, I will try
Mm.
to ensure an autonomous environment for them. But those, right? For example, my cousins would come to me. I'll be like, "Don't ask me, don't ask me, don't ask me," because I don't want to get in trouble with your father. That sort of thing.
So the
Oh,
power
maybe.
relations is definitely in existence, in a sense that you want to break the mold, but you got to do it in a way that you still come up as you have the upper hand in this relationship. Because if someone else has the upper hand, you have to kind of
Like retreat, we retreat.
abide. You still abide by the expectations, lah. Um, Shah, you wanted to say something when Ruby
Ah,
spoke about this?
almost the same, but to me, I see myself, my role is like somewhat to nurture, I think, because my brother is a bit manja, so he comes at me when he has problems or when he wants to say something. He's a younger brother, by the way. And then
Manja is
my
spoiled. Okay, everyone, spoiled. Like baby
spoiled,
brother Alice,
yeah,
very spoiled.
yeah, mm,
So do
because
you feel yourself as a nurturer of specifically the brother, or just generally, like it could be your younger
I
cousin, it could
I
be
think generally because my cousins who are like 5 years younger, they come to me no matter what gender lah, like female or male, they will come to me and ask, what to do with my degree, what to do with my, future, where do I do this, how can I do that, and then they feel like because my cousins they come from like some from Kelantan, some from Ipoh, so they really want to settle down here in KL. And so yeah, they I see myself as like just being a listener to them, and I just appreciate the fact that they come to me and find it comfortable to talk to me. So yes, but when it comes to like some families, there are also broken families, right? And I try my best to like when because the mothers and fathers they're like 30 plus and 40 like that. So it's still relatively young, right, doctor, for parents that age. So um like they separate and then the kids are like here and there and then I try my best to like because they also ask me my opinion because I'm from a broken family. So I try my best to like give the most honest opinion so the child won't feel pressured with the situation. So yeah, that's my role, I guess.
So in a family such as yourself, where the
Mhm.
parents are divorced, and
Mhm.
who plays the role of ensuring that the, back to what Ruby was saying, who plays the role of ensuring the policing happens? Is
Myself.
it yourself?
Myself. Sadly, I have to like, okay, Sha, be
It's okay,
composed.
Sha. It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you.
But the policing of it, like, okay, you better do this right, or else don't do this. That comes from you, but who gave you those ideas? Where did you pick it up from? Will it be from mom or dad
Mm,
or
my
grandparents?
my my grand relatives, if I have to be specific. Yes, because they're older. My aunties are young. My aunties are like 30 plus. So it all, relatively comes from my grand grand relatives lah.
Alice and Cherish, as you're listening to this, the Malaysian perspective scenes from Ruby and Shah's experiences, does any of this, does it echo in your own experience? Do you have this kind of expectations, within the family, that you have experienced yourself?
Dr.
Yes.
Carol,
都
先说。
来
Who's going first?
You can. You can.
小陈, you go. You go
No,
first.
no.
Okay. I can go first. For me, I'm the only child in my family, so I don't have brothers or sisters, so it's easy for me. My friends give me lots of freedom. They can I'm encouraged to make my own decision from 12. I think the pressure I feel, I'm comfortable to be a woman, and the pressure I feel mainly from our society, not from my family. So, I do have 3 cousins, but they are all older than me. So when we get together, I'm like play like a listener, and because they don't they all of them don't get married now, so they ask me, do you think I should get married? My older sister, I'll say, you can get married when you want to do that. So I think when come to this, I'm like to break the rule, you know.
So,
And
so there is no pressure to marry.
I don't have, because I'm the youngest now. Maybe 5 years later I will have the pressure, but my cousin do have now. So
Okay.
when we get together, she always asks me question like that. So I'm like encouraged her to break the rule. Yeah. And I can share my own experience where I feel the pressure from the society. You know, I'm finding jobs now, and I have attended lots of job interviews, and all the interviewers like to ask me the same question: Do you have a boyfriend? And
Why?
I really want to work in this city because I want to find a job in Qingdao. It's not in my hometown. And they asked me if I have a boyfriend. What's my boyfriend job? What's his plan? I think this is my job interview. Why ask my boyfriend? So and you know that's thing I can't understand because they think if you have a boyfriend, your plan and your future plan may connected very close to him. So they want to ask if you have a plan to get married or something like that. If your boyfriend want to work in this city, so they want to make sure you can stay in their company for a long time if you get this job. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Zheng, your ideas?
I have to mention the culture is a strange thing. Every time Donglai finishes speaking, I feel I don't need to join the chatting. We are so similar. But I think I can have a brief summary. For me, as a woman, I am an independent individual. I like the true sense of equality in life that many writers convey in their work. I admire women who live by their principle rather than the rules of the other people. So, in my opinion, I think balance the roles of a female ourselves is important undoubtedly for as a mother, as a daughter, as a worker, as a wife, but we need to be brave for breaking the routine at the same time. And I am on the road now, so I have to mention about the marriage. Like Donglai, my parents will push me to get married. But I have a lot of my own insistence. Of course, there are many other conflicts, but I believe that knowing what I want and then doing it is the life concept I adhere to, rather than I am a female at first. Over.
I like that final thought. I like that idea that it's about knowing yourself, not listening to the demands. But I'm just wondering though, listening. I'm a generation older than the lot of you, if not two generations. It feels like more than that. But as I listen to all of you, I think it's true that you do set the tone for your life, but at the same time I like this statement: culture is a strange thing.
It
and
is.
and I think that the irony is we are members of the culture, so indirectly we are a strange thing. If you substitute culture with us, with the people. So we are a strange bunch of people because we put all these demands on ourselves, and we try to ensure that the culture doesn't confine us, but at the same time, we abide by the culture, and hence by default, the culture becomes confining to us. So it's a weird combination. So with that kind of a discussion, so when you think about this idea of gender, obviously it's not something that you can I keep using the word female. I didn't want to use the word woman or feminine. I'll explain myself in a bit. But this idea that it's biological, so you don't put in the form, if you're asked for your name, your particulars, your gender, you're not asked woman or man, you're asked male or female, right? So that marker of identity somehow informs society, who you are, what are the expectations they have on you, and how far can you reach in life in terms of your aspirations. So there's a kind of a social, cultural, even political construct imposed over you. So hence, this is how I've drawn the idea of it. This is how I visualize gender identity. So at the core, this is who you are. It, for me personally, it was only when I got my menses at the age of 13, that I began to distinguish myself from my brother, and that idea was, okay, this is something I'm experiencing. He'll never experience this, getting period every month, that idea. But before that, we were like the same. Do you know what I mean? There isn't a kind of a difference, except that I had to do the household work and my brother could play and do whatever he wanted to do and all. So I didn't understand that until it was the menses that kind of like broke the barrier, if you like, that, okay, so this is different. But before that, it was like, I did all this job, but I didn't understand why I was expected to do all these things, So that is a private experience of being a member of a particular gender. But then there is a larger experience that is imposed on us. So I want to kind of keep this constantly in the back of our mind. On the one hand, we have this personal choice. On the other hand, society, beginning with family, society, culture, imposes certain expectations on us, prescribing on us what we can and cannot do. So this idea of a construct, something is a construct and something is a given. The idea of being a member of a particular group, a female or a male, that is a given, that's biological. Whereas being masculine or feminine, being a man or a woman, having masculinity tendencies or femininity tendencies, these are more of a construct, meaning what makes a masculine person and what makes a feminine person. I mean, if you take a snapshot of the few of us in class right now, how many of us will say we are feminine or we have feminine qualities? And how many of us will say we have more masculine qualities? That's something for us to think about. But that in itself is a construct. In some societies, when a woman speaks up and uses her voice and speaks up, she may be seen less feminine, having less femininity in her personalities. Right? So you can think about political figures, female leaders in society, not just in Malaysia, but across the world. If you know from the 80s, Margaret Thatcher, the British Prime Minister, she comes across not feminine. She comes across more masculine in her tendencies, right? And in Germany also, you've got what's her name, Angela Merkel. Again, she comes across not feminine, she comes across more masculine because of her personalities, perhaps, or because of her leadership. Then you've got in New Zealand, what's her name?
Jacinda Ardern.
Yes. Does she come across more masculine or feminine? Remember, she was also seen, she was pregnant throughout her first her tenure, and then she gave birth, and then she was seen, breastfeeding her child during one engagement. So all those kind of constructs, right, help create a more feminine bravado of the character of the individual, right? Whereas someone else may come across looking more serious and more stoic, even, right? And hence looking more masculine instead of being more feminine. So these are the different elements, the constructs that we need to play around with, that a simple word like female and male doesn't capture, right? So there's something that is given, and then there is something that is a construct. Society constructs certain things: how we dress, how we speak, how we look when there are men in our company. So those are the kind of things that I wanted you to explore, So when you're asking yourself in terms of the gender marker and how your sense of identity was formed, you may also ask those kind of questions, such as, how were you educated, or how were you raised by the family? What were certain things that you can and cannot do because you were a female? And how now does the society impose itself on you, continuously imposing itself in a silent way on how you are educated of your expectations? So, Ruby used the word policing. This idea that there is always an invisible police force that's constantly monitoring the way you behave, the way you present yourself, whether or not it is within the framework of the culture and the society that you are part of. And that element of governing you, it goes on, it doesn't stop. It's not like, okay, after a certain age, you are no longer policed for your gender. Maybe after a certain age, it would be marriage. Then after that would be, having a child. And in the context of Malaysia, for instance, if you've got one child, the in-laws and the family will be pressurizing you to say, okay, when's the next one coming? Or if you only have girls, okay, why don't you try for a boy? There's always constant meddling, by society, by culture. And this idea of allowing them to come into your life or not is also your positioning yourself in the society, in your family, in your community. So this idea of gender being a part of your sense of identity, it's comfortable to say that yes, it is, but at the same time, sometimes it can be infringing on your personal space because of the social cultural expectations. I like the fact that Shah brought up this idea of being a nurturer. So again, another way of looking at your gender is between what is naturally given, right, and this kind of a nurturing quality that society brings out of you. Say for instance, if your parents had said, what kind of games you want to play, you want to go and play football, go ahead, go and explore yourself. You want to play hockey, you want to play whatever those kind of games that you enjoy playing, go and play that. That would be an element or an example of how society, family nurtures in you based on your personal interests, not based on what they think is a given because of your nature. It means you're a member of this particular gender, you're a female. These are certain things expected of you. You must learn how to cook well. You must learn how to take care of the home. You must ensure that the household is constantly safe. Nighttime, make sure the doors are locked, the windows are locked. That's your responsibility. So that is something that is nurtured into us, not something that we're born with. It's not like because you're born female, you automatically have these instincts that, okay, I must make sure everything is safe. I must take care of my loved ones, and I must make sure that they are provided for. That's not something necessarily natural in us, but rather it is more of what is nurtured. So it's that kind of a tension, and society continuously molds us this way. So I want to draw your attention to this song lyrics by John Mayer, and the title is Daughters. I'm not sure anyone's familiar with this song?
No, doctor.
No?
No, I've not heard it.
But John Mayer feel a bit icky for me. I'm sorry.
Okay. I will come back to you and probe you on that statement. But I want to draw your attention to some of the lyrics, okay? And the chorus especially. Okay, so let's just have a look at this. Can I get someone to read this for me,
I'll do that, doctor.
please?
Daughters by John Mayer. I know a girl, she puts the color inside of my world, but she's just like a maze where all of the walls are continually changed, and I've done all I can to stand on her steps with my heart in my hands. Now I'm starting to see maybe it's got nothing to do with me.
Okay. So this idea that, this persona of this song, this voice, the speaker of this song, is describing to us of a girl. What are some of the words he is using in the way he describes the girl? She puts the
Maze.
color into my world.
Yes.
Sure. She's just like a maze. What comes up when you think about those lines?
He thinks girls are very mysterious.
There's the element, the unsaid is, there's the element of mystery. Where in this song, in these lines, where does the idea of mystery comes up?
Because a maze needs to be solved. A maze. So because when you're stuck in a maze, you need to find the way out.
Right. And more important than just being a maze, it's not like a maze in which the walls are fixed. What's with this particular maze?
Walls are continually changed.
You go in this way and you thought there was a space there. The next time you come in, it's not there anymore. The walls are constantly changing. So it's not just a maze, but it's a maze that is constantly changing, and and how does he think of her? Look at the next few lines. Can I get someone else to read this for me?
Yes, I can, doctor.
Thank you.
Oh, you see that skin? It's the same she has been standing in since the day she saw him walking away. Now I'm left, cleaning up the mess he made. Boys, you can break. You will find out how much they can take. Boys will be strong, and boys soldier on. But boys will be gone without the warmth from a woman's good heart.
Okay. There's something happening in the second stanza. He's describing her, and he's also talking about this him that has walked away. And because of him walking away, the persona is now having to pick up the pieces, cleaning up the mess that he made, this him that walked away. So something happened to the girl, right? And despite the fact that it's the same skin that she's standing in, she is the unsaid in this line is she's no longer the same person. Why is she no longer the same person? Because this person called him here, he walked away. So he did something to her. By walking away, he did something to her. Albeit she is standing in the same skin, meaning the body is the same, but the person inside is no longer the same, right? she's still waiting for something to happen. She's still waiting for him to come back, perhaps. And then the next stanza, he talks about, again, there is a lot of unsaid, a lot of silences. He talks about how boys you can break. The unsaid is girls you can't. Boys will be strong. Who tells us this? That boys will be strong. Boys soldier on. Who tells us this? Society tells us it's okay, don't cry. You're a boy. Boys soldier on. Don't let simple things like that break you. You're supposed to be strong. You're a boy. You're supposed to be strong. Boys, you soldier on. But boys, however strong they are, they cannot last without the warmth of a woman's good heart. So he's indirectly saying a lot of things about boys and girls, about how boys and girls are made differently and how they are raised differently, right? This element of boys soldier on. This is not something uncommon. You hear this in any society, right? The boys fall down and cry, like, it's okay, be a boy, go on, continue to play, soldier on, right? You have to be strong. But at the same time, he also acknowledges the idea that no matter how strong a boy is, he needs the warmth of a woman's heart, meaning the love from a woman is something that is important for a boy. Now he jumps another it's almost like snapshots. He jumps another scene, this is something else that happened. Perhaps this is what he is referring to about him walking away, perhaps. Can I get someone else to read these stanzas?
I can. Can I?
Yes.
Okay. Mothers, be good to your daughters. Daughters will love like you do. Girls become lovers who turn into mothers. So mothers, be good to your daughters too. On behalf of every man looking out for every girl, you are the guide and the weight of the world.
Is that it? Yeah. So again, I want to dissect this idea. He's talking to both the parents, the fathers and the mothers. What is he saying about the fathers? Fathers, be good to your daughters. Why? Because how you treat them is how they will also treat someone else, right? Daughters will love like you do. That means how you care for them, how you take care of them, that's how they will then in turn love others. So that's the role of the father, right? And when girls become lovers, when girls grow up and they become lovers, they then turn into their mothers. So in that sense, mothers too must be good to their daughters. So parents, both mom and dad, play such an important role in molding the woman, the female child's sense of identity, right? Because the fathers help the child, the daughter, grow up to become women of their own, meaning how your dad treats you is how you will expect men to treat you or how you respond to men. And likewise, how your mothers are is how you yourself become in a relationship. So this is what he is saying here. So the final line, this idea that the woman is the guide and the weight of her world means a lot. Again, captures this idea of weight, the physical weight. You may be 100 pounds, 120 pounds, whatever, right? But the weight is also symbolic because of what he says earlier on. Boys will be gone without the warmth of a woman's good heart. So I really, really like this song. I enjoy John Mayer's music a lot, but I like this particular song because the responsibility of molding the girl's well-being, to the core of how she loves and how she is in a relationship is in the hands of mom and dad at the beginning. So what are your thoughts about this song? Do you have any ideas? Did something strike a chord in you as I was going through the song? Nothing?
Doctor, can I say something?
Please.
When reading the lyrics of this song is recall and not the other days exploring the stereo vulnerability for my thesis, and actually I think the roles of father sometimes is locked in the man box, because
Say that again. Say that again. The role of fathers. I love that.
is locked in the man box.
What do you mean by that?
Because of the man box, because our society man should be tough, and if a man of they express their emotion, it can be seen as a sign of weakness, I think. And when I read the theory vulnerability, actually at the very beginning, I think vulnerability is kind of weakness. But at the end of the book, Darren greatly I changed my ideas about vulnerability, because it's kind of ability to explore yourself, open yourself to others. So I think as a father, if you are locked in your man box, you don't share your emotion or feeling with your kids, or no matter doctor or boys, they it's kind of they are learning from you, and when they grow up, they are like they don't like to express themselves to others.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the point.
Thank you. I'm just going to go straight into feminist criticism, and after this, I want to take a break and listen to your song choices. So, just very, very quickly, I'm sure you would have covered this in literary theory, but I remember last week when we were talking about theories, and if I'm not mistaken, one of you asked me like what's the point of these theories? It seems it's just too heavy for you right now, right? Understanding the different theories, and I remember saying that you have to understand the theories in terms of the context from which it was developed. Theories are usually developed in response to whatever is going on at that particular time. So, in terms of feminist criticism, one of the important premise that needs to be taken into consideration is the strong patriarchal culture that continued to marginalize and victimize women, especially in Britain and parts of Europe. And what then happened was women were using their voices, their ideas, intellectualizing and struggling to win emancipation for themselves, right? And feminist criticism or feminist theory came out of that struggle, if you like. So it was in response to how women were being victimized by their own society. A simple example: if you read, Jane Austen's novels, you will see the element of the patriarchal marginalization that women experience. Take Pride and Prejudice, and take Sense and Sensibility, one of my favorite novels by Austen. The father dies, and with the death of the father, the household, because the man did not have a son, the household goes to his nephew, basically the next male heir. And when that happens, his wife and his daughters had to leave the household because the house now belongs to their cousin, right? So they now have to go somewhere else and live somewhere else. Even though they are still alive, they are part of his family, but it's the male cousin who now owns the property. So the property goes through the male lineage, not the female, right? So that's a huge victimization of women, right? That's a simple example, but there are many, many examples. And to add to that, the woman can't earn a living. Society doesn't allow her to earn a living. So she is very much at the mercy of the men, right? So she either marries the cousin, okay, then he will then take care of her, or she has to marry well so that she is taken care of, or she becomes a pauper, right? She's at that destitute crossroad, if you like. So feminist criticism then was a way to respond to this, and women were using the power of words, the power of pen, to kind of, demand for greater recognition and rights. So then you have the iconic Virginia Woolf's essay, A Room of One's Own. Today, if you say this to your fellow females, we need a room of our own, people probably laugh at you, unless you live in an extended family. Because I never had a room of my own. Growing up in my dad's household, I never had a room of my own. I always had to share. Even now, I don't have a room of my own. My daughter has a room. My husband has his office in home, and I share a room with my husband. Basically, my bedroom. That's it. I don't have a room of my own, right? But I have lots of spaces. I have an office. I have 2 offices in UKM. One for my admin position, and another one as a lecturer. Right. So this idea of having a room of one's own is no longer an issue. But back then, right, late 19th century, throughout 19th century, early 20th century, women did not have a space of their own. So what is the room symbolic of? What does it symbolize? Think about a room of your own. When you have a room of your own, you have the ability to just sit and think and be creative. Nobody can come into that space. You get to dictate how that space is used, what goes into that room. It's your space away from the world, right? So a room is one's sense of symbolic freedom. That idea of that who you are, you get to be you in that space. So this is something theorists in the 20th century, especially developing feminist criticism, the first wave at least, these are some of the things that they were demanding for. And then that idea of looking at gender and breaking free from that dominant social stigma or social control, that was also something that feminist criticism were championing for, meaning to break away from the patriarchal cultural expectation. Okay, I'm going to skip this. So just to kind of reiterate, the premise of the theory is, it started off, very much as a result of the perpetual cultural construction of what a woman is or what a female is, and how it was structured based on inequality. The premise wasn't to have equality for womankind, but it was very much based on this inequality. And for that, women suffered social, cultural, economic, political injustices. So the first wave and second wave of feminism, the theory of feminism, was very much number one, rooted in the West, right? The Anglo-Europe centers, very much to champion for greater economic, political, social equalities. The kind of things that we take for granted today, what Xiao Qing and Dong Lai were sharing just now about how in China, women are encouraged to go out and chase their dreams and get a job. First of all, get a degree. All right, that in itself is huge. Okay, be able to get educated on an equal footing with men in any discipline. It wasn't like, okay, these are some disciplines women can study, but the rest cannot. No, a century ago it was the case, right? The women couldn't even go get a job get a degree, get a qualification. So if you cannot be educated, what are you going to be trained for? What can you do besides taking care of the children and manage the household, right? So that idea of inequality was very systemic throughout the society, and that caused the injustice. So when you think about feminism and the central demands, it's as broad and wide as issues of humanity. As simple as having a voice, meaning being able to speak up for yourself, being able to dictate your sense of identity, having agency to be able to make certain choices for yourself, being visible, being seen, right? Meaning how you choose to present yourself in society. What dresses do you wear? What colors do you choose for yourself? Do you cover your face? Do you cover your hair? How do you present yourself? Right? That element of choice and this idea of equality. I want to become an astronaut. Can I do that? I'm a female. Oh, so I can't because I'm a female? What? So that also incorporates this idea of social justice, how women are treated. Is it okay for a man to raise his hand on a woman? Is that something that is seen okay? Because she's a woman, she doesn't know any better. It's the dad's responsibility. It's the father, the brother's responsibility. It's the uncle's responsibilities. It's the husband's responsibility. And then later on, it's the son's responsibility. So the woman is constantly at the mercy of one or other of her male folk. So I'm going to skip this also. This is a very disturbing news. Granted, it's a bit dated, 2009, but this idea that even in Britain, how girls are being treated by their boyfriends and how they seem to succumb to it as long as they are in a relationship, because to them being in a relationship is more important than being single. So they bear the brunt. It's okay if the guy is a bit disrespectful or violent, as long as she is in a relationship. Society thinks, okay, she's okay because she's in a relationship, because otherwise, they have other terms for girls who are not married and all. So what are the girls' main priority? They put up with the abuse because they felt scared, guilty, or feared that they would lose their boyfriend. So having a boyfriend was seen as more important than taking care of themselves and having that kind of a relationship status. That's scary. In the 21st century, I don't know how much that is still relevant today. Maybe you all will be able to share your thoughts on that. So when you think about the central demands, this idea of what is being reinforced. So again, I want to look at some popular songs before we look at the poetry in question. There's another song by Beyonce called All the Single Ladies, or even the song that I shared on the WhatsApp, If I Were a Boy. How are the male folk represented in these songs, and what is the unsaid? How are the female represented? So I want you to kind of look at that. I'm going to skip all this, and I want to go into your, before I go into the literature part, I want to go into your song choices. So okay. So I've given you quite a bit to think about, lots of food for thoughts, right? But ultimately, it comes down to what you understand being identified as a member of this particular gender. What does it mean to you? And then you come to the text and ask yourself, what does it mean to the writer of this poem or this song? What does it mean? How is this identity marker being used? There is a biological understanding, certain things about being a woman that you cannot dispute, right? You do get your monthly cycles, your menses, you do get that. That one you cannot dispute. You cannot say, okay, I don't want to do that part. You know, there's certain things I'll take, certain things I don't want to take. I don't want to take that part. You can't do that. And that you know, if you want to procreate, you want to have children, it's the woman who can do that. A man can't. Right? Only a woman can carry the child for 42 weeks and then give birth to the child, inshallah, successfully. But a man can't do that. Right? But other than that, cooking, keeping house, earning a living, all that is still open for negotiation, right? Who is the disciplinarian? In my household, I think I hold the cane. I'm the disciplinarian in this household. My husband is like, it's okay, everything is all right, you know. So my daughter loves the dad more than mom because the mom is the disciplinarian, right? So that idea of all those things is still open for negotiation between you and your partner. But there are certain things that's non-negotiable, right? But those are more biological. So that said, let's have a look at the popular text that you have identified. And let's dissect the way gender is represented and what, in fact, is the songwriter saying about this issue. All right, who wants to go first? Do you all want to take a 5 minutes break or do you want to go straight into it?
I don't mind going straight into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't mind as well.
Shah, would you want to share yours first?
I have I have like two, but one is like very PG-18 lyrics because it's from
It's okay, all of us here, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. Because
we're all-
mine is
right.
PG-18 as well. Mine is PG-18 as well.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
all of us are
Okay.
18 and above. I know I am 18 and above. I don't know about the rest of you.
So
Do you want to share screen?
okay. I shared the link.
Okay.
So which one is better? I'm not sure, but
Just let me see.
I think you can just share screen so that we can see each other's
okay,
faces as
okay,
well.
okay. My entire screen.
Do you want to share screen? Do you want me to share
Yes.
screen? Okay.
I'm sharing screen.
Cool.
Okay, can you see this part of
Just
Flawless by
slightly-
Beyonce?
Yeah,
I know,
can you
I
zoom
know
that,
I'm,
Shah?
I'm 18 and above, but slightly bigger font. For those of us
Okay.
who are slightly older.
Okay.
All right,
All right,
nice.
this is good. This is good. Yeah.
What's the song called?
Flawless by Beyonce.
Oh, okay, not familiar.
So this is Beyonce featuring Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. but we're taking the bottom
She
part.
sings. Chimamanda sings in the song.
I think so.
Whoa.
I think so.
Okay, is this a new one?
Not quite new. Recent.
I'm not big. I'm not big on Beyonce. I don't know much about her songs, rather.
Same. But this is quite famous.
Okay.
So okay, I'm just gonna read the part that I want to share. Oops, sorry. Okay, so we teach girls to shrink themselves, to make themselves smaller. We say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much. You should aim to be successful, but not too successful. Otherwise, you will threaten the man. Because I am female, I am expected to aspire to marriage. I am expected to make my life choices, always keeping in mind that marriage is the most important. Now, marriage can be a source of joy and love and mutual support. But why do we teach girls to aspire to marriage? And why don't we teach boys the same? We raise girls to see each other as competitors, not for jobs or for accomplishments, which I think can be a good thing. But for the intention of men, we teach girls that they cannot be sexual beings in the way that boys are feminists. The person who believes in the social, political, and the economic quality of the sexes. So yeah, this part, this other part is like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just this bit. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
What did you want to say about? Okay, first of all, you like the song. Obviously, you like.
It has a nice beat to
So
to get yourself.
the melody is good. I'll check it out. I've never heard of the song.
Yeah.
What is it about the song that caught your attention? There must be something in the song that caught your potential.
It's the part that you can have ambition but not too much. You should aim to be successful but not too successful. Otherwise, you will threaten the man. But right now, I just want to say that it's different from my life right now. I am asked to be successful. I am asked to be, asked to be, to actually, do my best. But um considering that the song is, in the 21st century, it's quite,
Yeah.
right, and it still
And
happens, and it's still, Beyonce put it out there with Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, which is, it tells something about, society elsewhere, that you can go to school, you can go to college, but maybe you have to know your place, not too much, stuff like that. So yeah, it's a bit complex, I would say, because I cannot relate to that.
good.
I cannot relate to that. I'm very privileged to say this, but yeah, yeah. I mean, it's Beyonce's song. They live in the West, right? So it tells something. Yes.
Thank you. Next.
I'll go next.
Go ahead.
Let me just share because I have it on Word. Okay, it will take.
What's the song called and who is the singer?
Oh, so it's Story Amos. Wait, okay, all right. Because I'm
Oh.
planning to do her, but
Okay.
because it is a song that really, changed my life. I'm sorry for saying that. But yeah, so this song, so the title is Precious Things. Okay. I hope you guys can see this. Shah, can you see this, Shah?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so this song, it took me like what, 5 years, 10 years to understand it, because when I first heard it when I was about 18, 19, I didn't understand what it was about. But yes, but it is basically about, because she was raised in a very conservative Christian household, but then she attended an American high school. So so she received very contradictory messages about female sexuality. For example, over here, it says here, so I ran faster, but it caught me here. Yes, my loyalties turned like my ankle. So basically, every time she tries to do something that is perceived as liberating, she will hear her grandmother's voice telling her, oh, don't do it. It's not good, because her grandmother was a bit conservative. And then over here, in the 7th grade, running after Billy, running after the rain. So this is her in high school, how teenage girls were expected to run after or to chase after boys' attention. And the whole song is basically about the pressure of teenage girls to get male validation. And then this is the chorus. So this is the chorus. So the chorus reads, these precious things, let them bleed, let them wash away. These precious things, let them break their hold of me. So this is a euphemism for virginity, because when she attended church, I think she's an evangelist. I think the father was an evangelist pastor. So the church was always telling her sexual purity, guard your virginity, guard it as if it is something with fences around it. So she felt that pressure. But then when she goes to her high school, there was this very sexualized environment. So she's basically saying, you know what, just let them bleed, because the pressure is too much for me to carry. So it is as if, you know what, I'll just lose my virginity, so I don't have to be burdened with it anymore. Instead of looking at sex as something that is intimate, as something that you do with people you trust, you do it when you are ready, especially. It doesn't matter, what age once you reach adulthood. Instead, for her, okay, why is it so precious? Why does it have to define me? And then this is the next verse. So the next verse, so this is basically, okay, I'll just read it. He said, you're really an ugly girl, but I like the way you play. And I died, but I thank him. Can you believe that? Sick, holding on to his picture, dressing up every day. So this is her experience with, I think, I'm not sure if the first boyfriend, but basically the boys would say, you know, you're ugly, but I like the way you play, meaning the way you make yourself sexually available. So this is basically a teenage
Yeah.
exchanges, and then she died, but she thanked him. So she thanked him for giving her attention because she's ugly, but you know, he let her play with him. And then, you know, and then Six Six holding us to his picture is basically us as teenage girls going crazy over boys who treat us badly lah. All right, and then over here it says, I want to smash the faces of those beautiful boys, those Christian boys, so you can make me come, but that doesn't make you Jesus. So this one is basically this. I don't know, because I learned a lot from this song because it shows me how something that I've been hearing as a Muslim girl, a Christian girl could hear those words as well. So basically, she's just very frustrated. She want to smash the faces of these beautiful boys whose validation she was seeking as a teenage girl. And most of them, I think, went to church. So there was this Christian morality, yet
Right.
rebelliousness happening among them. And obviously, so you can make me come, that doesn't make you Jesus. It's a social commentary where so boys validate each other if they can make a girl come. If they give a girl orgasm, oh, that okay, you are the man. Sexual ability defines who you are, you know, in that context. Okay. So yes, and then I'll just talk about this verse. So this verse, let me just read it. I remember, yes, in my peach party dress, no one dared, no one cared to tell me where the pretty girls are. Those demigods with their 9-inch nails and little fussy panties tucked inside the heart of every nice girl. So this is basically, it talks about the low self-esteem that girls who did not abide by social beauty had to struggle with, because but I'm just assuming this because I watch teenage American movies where the pretty girls are always very well groomed, they have blonde hair, but there's a certain way that they look, whereas Tori Amos, when she was a teenager, curly hair,
Red,
yeah,
red hair.
red, and she, I mean, obviously, I mean, of course she's white and all, but she didn't abide by the beauty standard. She was being called ugly, and it shows how physicality really, I mean, physicality mattered everywhere, but these supposed beauty standards in an American high school, I'm assuming they are rather rough. However, like those male validation, people also wanted the validation from popular girls. In school, they are basically demigods. So it shows how her self-esteem, she's not only struggling with sexuality controlled by men, but also by more powerful girls in her life. Okay. So yeah, so that's the song. When I first heard it, I didn't really understand it. I just like the piano. But now, as you know, after reading, you know, now I'm a fully formed individual. I'm like, oh my god, it's a serious song. But I really love how meaningful it is like for her experience, because something that I would never be able to learn with my friends because we don't talk about this. But yeah, so that's my sharing.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Can I go first, Doctor?
Go ahead.
Okay. I want to share a Chinese song, and I found the English translation version. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's you know, this song is for women who are suffering violence in our society in real cases. And the name is Jane Doe. I hope I pronounce it right. And the singer is Tai Weiwei. Her English name is Sita Tan. And you know, in China, if women got a violence in our news they have they don't use their real name, and they use name like Xiaojuan. I think in English is this name right?
Yes, Jane Doe, yes.
Yeah.
Basically, there is no identity. The person's identity is unknown. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can see the lyrics. Our name are not Jane Doe, and at least our last line of defense. What I want to share with you is this lyrics. You can see this one. Is how the girls who suffer from violence are judged in the end. You can see in Chinese letters. I don't want to I don't want to teach you Chinese, but you can see the letter, this letter. I have this letter. Yeah, this letter means woman in Chinese.
Can you
So-
make it slightly bigger? Can you make
Okay.
the page slightly bigger?
Okay.
Alice?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. That character
It's-
of like somebody standing, like, yeah.
This character means woman in Chinese. I mean, sorry.
So this is a domestic violence
Yeah.
context because the line before about gasoline, about raising your fist on a woman.
Yeah.
Is this something that is reported in the news regularly?
During the past maybe 10 years, this news are posted by our TV programs, I think, and the group of the writer make this song to let the public know there are although we're in such a safe society, but there are always violence in a remote place, and I'm very shocked when I heard this song because in my living environment it's very safe, and I don't I haven't heard people around me got this kind of violence, but I'm shocked that we have this kind of violence today, and I'm also shocked how the woman who suffered got the judgment, like you can see this English words. They are not good words. Yeah, and
So these women, because the line "How you remember us in the end," there is a colon, right?
yeah.
So these women, those who are being ill treated, physically abused, right, even sexually abused, they are remembered not as victims of domestic violence or victims of societal violence on them, but rather they are remembered by these ideas. Why? What have they done? Is it because they dress a certain way? Is it because they do a certain job? I mean, why are they known as this? Does the song explore that?
I think they mentioned, these lyrics talk about the violence they have suffered. Some because of their was their varying, and some because of they have conflicts with their husband, their partner, something like that. Yeah, and there are violence. I want to show you the last part of, their violence becomes of the over the teacups or meals or topics of chit chat, and because they don't have name and actually in our culture it can be seen as a shame for family, so they don't want to their name to be known by others. But actually they are the one they are the one who suffer from that violence. I don't think it's purple or it's kind of inequality, I think, for this part. And why I choose this song is because for me, being a woman, I think the most thing for me is equality, and the plan of my future. I think I want to have the same opportunity to work, to live as a woman compared with male. So I think what made me shocked in this by this song is because of its this kind of inequality showed in this song. That's what I want to share with you.
All right, thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah, and actually I got two Chinese song. One the other one is called sorry. Stop sharing. The other one is called Miss Similar from Chinese singer Gloria, and her Chinese name is Deng Ziqi. This song challenged the standard of beauty for women, and you can see from the name Miss Similar. That means all the girls become similar kind of girls. This song actually are written because the singer got the social expectation to be slim as others. So he wrote this song to record the diversity of female in society. And I can share the link in our chat. You can watch it after our class.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Xiaoqing, do you want to share your song choice?
Yes.
Go ahead. Are you sharing screen? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Could you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. This is the work of a Korean singer. And it's the album cover, and we can see her impression. I like it. As if she is dismissive of something. Let's look at the lyrics. Everyone is telling me I should be somebody I don't wanna be. I feel you watching my every move. The pressure's coming down on me. Don't you tell me what to do. Gonna make my decisions on my own because I am ready to move up. This is who I am, so I just wanna be true to myself. If you could understand why it's never enough. A pretty face, sexy waist, pierce and the lace, everybody wants to have a taste. I like this sentence. Everybody wants to have a taste. Thick and superficial isn't what defines a perfect girl. Take the chance today. Doesn't matter what they say about me anyway. I will show you how. Let's do it now. It's the point of no return. There are lessons that you have got to learn. I am give to take it up higher. This is who I am, so I just want to be true to myself. If you could understand why it's never enough, everyone is telling me I should be somebody I don't want to be. I won't ever let them get me. Shake it like the way I like it. Open up your mind. We can make it work if we take the time to realize we are all the same inside. You can't judge me by the way that I look on the exterior now. I just can't take it anymore. All my girls on top, if you are feeling me, throw your hands up high. Free your mind today. Don't be afraid to take the lead. This is who I am, so I just want to be true to myself. If you could understand why it's never enough, I'm gonna make it happen. Who says there can't be girls on top? I think she conveys some values about the freedom from the woman. They try to break through the words definition of who they are and live a new version of themselves. That's all.
Brilliant. If I can summarize the sharing that you all have done, if you come back to the expectations or the demands made by feminist theorists in the early 20th century, the first wave, the second wave, the third wave, and then the post-feminist movement right into the 21st century, the kind of issues appear still relevant. That's except for Ruby's song choice, which was a 20th century song. The rest are 21st century, if I'm not mistaken. Is this a 21st century song? The BOA singer?
Yes.
Yeah, Dong Lai, your song choice, is that the 20th century or the 21st century?
It's 21st century, Doctor.
And Shah, the one by Beyonce, Flawless, this is from this century also, right? So this idea that these issues are still relevant, right? The kind of things that feminist theorists were demanding for, were struggling for, appears to still be relevant even today, right? The need for the need for the woman's voice to be heard, the need for a sense of agency, for visibility. This is who I am. See me for who I am. Yeah, that sense of the need to define her sense of identity rather than have her sense of identity being imposed from external. The sense of equality, whether you choose to do things the same as boys or not, you have that choice, that ability to be treated equal. And then, of course, the social justice, the very troubling abuse that women are subjected to, physical, not just physical, but physical as well as emotional, sexual, psychological, right? So the idea that these are the demands that feminist critiques asked maybe 100+ years ago. And today, if you look at the popular culture, you look at the songs, these demands appear still relevant. Even today, you would think, okay, 100 years on, we probably have moved on and women are asking for different things and men are asking for different things. But obviously it is not, right? So I just want to kind of capture the aspect of that in this particular, 19th century poem from William Blake. The poem is a very short poem, The Sick Rose. Again, it juxtaposes the expectations, the reading of society onto the female character. So I want you to, as you're reading this two-stanza poem, just look at the way men and women are represented. The female and the male are represented. What's the imagery for the female? What's the imagery for the male? And how does the poem inadvertently or otherwise reinforces certain constructs, certain roles, certain expectations of how boys will behave and how girls should behave, right? That element. Very short one. O Rose, thou art sick, it's an exclamation. The invisible worm that flies in the night in the howling storm has found out thy bed of crimson joy, and his dark secret love does thy life destroy. So no guesses. Who is the rose? Female or male? Is the rose female or male?
I'm guessing female.
So by default, the invisible worm would be the male, right? But in this opening line, the rose is declared sick. Not the rose says, I am sick, but rather someone declares, oh, Rose, you are ill. You're sick, you're ill. Like what's wrong with me? It echoes also the song by Ruby's song choice just now. This idea of being ill, or this idea of bleeding, or you're not well, or, something is happening here. The invisible worm, a worm. What's that? Do you like worms? Would you keep worms as pets?
No.
So what comes to mind when you think of this image of a worm?
It's very gooey.
Okay, what else?
It is
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable, gooey. What else?
It contaminates plants.
Right, this idea of contaminate. You don't even feel like picking it up, right? Even though it's not a dirty animal, but you're like, yucca, let's not go there. And that's how this character is described. There's this invisible, not even a visible one, an invisible. How are you supposed to capture or how are you supposed to avoid something that is both unappealing and disgusting, but also invisible? You can't see it, meaning you don't know that this thing is an invisible worm because you can't see it as an invisible worm. And the invisible worm flies in the night in the howling storm, not in this beautiful blissful day when the sun is out and everything looks bright and rosy, but it's coming to you at a time of the day that that would frighten somebody, right? Howling storm in the nighttime. And he has found out thy bed of crimson joy. And what is he planning to do? His dark secret love will destroy you. So it kind of, the theme is almost similar with Tori Amos's song just now that Ruby shared. So this idea of challenging cultural stereotypes, we saw this song early in the semester, I'm Not My Hair. I just want to kind of draw your attention to some of the lines in the song. How, the little girl goes through various stages to redefine her sense of identity based on her hair. At 8, she does certain things. She got jerry curls. I showed you the image of the jerry curls. It's basically very loose, long curls. And then at 13, she got a relaxer to straighten her hair. Then that made her become a source of laughter. People were laughing at her because her hair was straight. It's no longer the way it should be. And then at 15, the whole thing came off. At 18, she went all natural, meaning she had her afro. February 2002. Excuse me. Sorry. February 2002, I went and I did what I had to do because it was time to change my life, to become the woman that I am inside. 97, dreadlocks, all grown. I looked in the mirror for the first time and saw that. What did she see? Good hair means curls and waves. Bad hair means you look like a slave. Okay, so hair defines your sense of status. When you've got good hair, it defines your level of or your position in society. Bad hair means you're not taking care of yourself. And if you're not taking care of yourself, you're almost like a slave, because slaves during slavery, they couldn't even take care of their hair. They couldn't even manage themselves because they don't own their body. Who owns their body?
They are owners.
The owners. They don't even own themselves. So the owner gets to dictate to them when they bathe, how often they are fed, and whether or not they wear clean clothes. Everything is by the master's choice, right? So if you are not able to maintain your looks, you are as good as a slave. So, that line may be a bit controversial today, but, within the context, I suppose it means something, right? So at the turn of the century, it's time for us to redefine who we be. You can shave it off like a South African beauty, got in on lock like Bob Marley. You can rock it straight like Oprah Winfrey. So she's mentioning role models within the African American context, within the Jamaican Caribbean context. So it's not what's on your head, it's what's underneath. That's who you are. Then she asks you questions like this. Does the way I wear my hair make me a better person? Does the way I wear my hair make me a better friend? Does the way I wear my hair determine my integrity, expressing my creativity? So as much as this line, bad hair means you look like a slave, the question, perhaps that is a statement that society, the community imposes on the African American, right? She's then asking the society back, does it make me a better person just because I wear my hair in this way? Does it make me a better friend? Does it define my sense of integrity and my ability to be creative? A lot of pressure is put on the hair, the woman's hair, right? So within the Islamic culture, women are encouraged to cover their hair. So that element is even taken out of the equation. But in other contexts, hair seems to be a stigma or be a kind of a signal how successful you are in society. So there's a lot of pressure, not only on the looks, but also specifically on the hair. So that's the song. Then there's also representation of women in commercials. So another literary or another corpus that you may consider besides literature, besides songs, you can also look at representation of women in commercials, right? Same issues. You may look at how women, or rather the female body, is being used to sell a product. Okay, you can just go through any magazines, be it perfume or watches or cars or even insurance or houses, anything that needs to be sold, there's always the female body being used. Yeah, and that element of objectification comes from the feminist theories and how the feminist theories themselves were writing against this use of women and the use of the female body to be objectified, to be seen merely as objects of pleasure. So some of the songs that you showed, showed us in class just now, kind of challenge that element of objectification of women, right? So yes, the woman has the right over her body to pleasure herself, to reach a sense of level of orgasm and pleasure, self-pleasure. But when the woman's body is being used to translate as seeking pleasure or being a temptress for pleasure, there is that element of objectification. That means the woman is not seen as the subject of her own life, but rather as an object of someone else's pleasure, right? So that element is also a kind of dehumanizing of the woman, and it humiliates her. So if you look at the songs that you have chosen, every one of it challenges that element of objectification and dehumanization. And the irony is, we are still talking about it, even in the 21st century, in the third decade of the 21st century. So what does that say about society? And we've got it across the board. You've got songs from the West, the African-American context, the Caucasian context with Tori Amos and with Beyonce and Tori Amos, respectively. Then you have songs from the Chinese context and the Korean context, also discussing, problematizing the same issues, right? So there's something to say about how women are being represented, but also how women themselves are voicing their thoughts about their role, their place in society, and the kind of things that they are demanding for. It appears as if we haven't moved on. We are still caught in that kind of a trap that society appears to impose on a particular demographic, i.e. the females. Yeah. So the concluding remark that I want to leave us with for today's discussion, at least vis-a-vis the lecture, is this idea of abuse and violence that continuously appear to be the lot for the female kind. It's something that writers, and as you have seen in your songs, even in popular culture, continues to discuss and debate. So when you want to read literature, when you want to read songs, poems, stories from the gender lens, you may look at it from that aspect. How are women either being objectified? How are women's voices being used? If the writer is a female, how does she use her voice? Does she use it to raise any issues regarding her identity or other women's identities? If it is a male writing, such as the one sole male representative, John Mayer, how is the idea of, number one, woman being described in that song? So she's seen as a maze. Her lines are continuously changing, right? Her walls are continuously changing. It's that idea of you can't really understand a woman because today she's like this and then tomorrow she'll be like that. So it sounds as if she's fickle, that she doesn't have a mind of her own. Like a man, he says one thing and he means it. Whereas it sounds like a woman says one thing and then tomorrow you ask her again, she might say something else, right? Or today she's warm and tomorrow she's like aloof and cold and so she sounds very emotional and unpredictable and unreliable even. But as you read the song, you realize that that's exactly what a man needs, right? A man can be strong, can soldier on, but a man will be nothing without the warmth of a woman's heart, right? So that idea of the woman complements the man. So that song kind of captures that element. But that the song also challenges the dad and the mom on the way the daughter is raised and the way the daughter then loves when she grows up and become a fully functional adult, right? How she is, whether functional or dysfunctional, it's largely in part based on the way the mom and dad treated her when she was growing up. So it goes to that element of the song then demands society, family, members of family to all take responsibility, both the women as well as the caregivers of these girl childs, right? So, so the challenge is, as a writer, when you're looking at the way, as a critique, when you're looking at the writer and what the writer is doing, the challenge is to ask yourself whether or not this idea of objectification is being reinforced in the text, or does the text challenges this idea of objectification, and if so, how does it challenge it? How does it raise awareness both amongst men and women? What are some images that are being foregrounded in the song, in the text that you have identified, in order to challenge the objectification or to undo whatever objectification, whatever victimization that has been done onto the women? What does the song suggest? So for tutorial task, for your e-task for this particular theme, I want you to pick up any text. It can be a song, it can be a poem, it can be advertisement, it can be a movie. Now I want you to compare. I mean, all this time we've been looking at the female, but I want you to compare the way the women and the men are represented in that text. And if the song or the poem or the story is more about a woman, the silence or the gap would be the men, right? So the men will still be there in the text. The male voice or images will still be there, but it will be silenced, or the invisible, the unmentioned, right? So I want you to kind of think about what issues gender representation is being represented or captured or portrayed in the text of your choice. I'll talk about the circle of issues later. Okay, any questions?
It's okay to use the same one the song lyrics we presented just now.
Absolutely. So this is an e-task. Obviously, it doesn't require you to dissect the text in a very detailed manner. But I would like to end our discussion by looking at the text that I shared with you, or rather Shah found for us. So thank you, Shah, because I left the book at home. I forgot to scan it before I got back. So this is the poem, and there's lots of irony being thrown about in this poem. So I would like us to take a moment to kind of go through it. I hope all of you have read through it, but I would like us to read it now. Can I get someone to read it for me?
I can.
Please.
I can. Okay.
Please.
Okay. So with words of chastity, he adorned my hands. Sorry. How crazy are those who love you so much? By Kishore Ahid. So with words of chastity, he adorned my hands, chained my feet like prisoners, and called it modesty. How sweet and pleasant it sounds, like a diamond, like the gleam of a knife. He says, "What more can you ask for? Walls of marble, clean and shining, to keep you safe. The gold lock and chain on big, solid black mahogany doors at least show that it's all for you, for your security, for your love." How lovingly and hopefully built this home, full of ideals and dreams. It's been tested with screens, making sure that if a sound dare penetrate some crevice, it will turn to foam, exhausted, and nothing will get through. Tenderly for you, for your love, this home, this throne, these marble walls, all for you, my dear, all because I love you. Please run.
Sorry.
No, I'm like, please run away.
Please run away. Okay. First of all, keep in mind that the writer is a female. Yeah. And the writer is representing the male perspective. That I want you to kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Okay. So because I love you, and the I here is the men, the male, the most probably the husband in this relationship. Okay. So that's something I want you to kind of keep in mind. So with words of chastity, he adorned my hand, chained my feet like a prisoner, and called it modesty. Anything stands out or shouts out to you?
How is being a prisoner, goes
So-
along with modesty?
So the question is, being a prisoner and modesty. How is that linked? What else?
And how is
Ruby, you want to?
sorry?
Alice, I can't see your
Okay,
face.
go ahead.
Yeah, doctor.
Yes.
Yeah. How is the feeling of being a prisoner connected to the feeling of sweet and pleasant, pleasant?
So the idea of this image appears to kind of trouble us, right? So this image of what comes to mind when you think about a prisoner?
Trapped
Mm.
behind
Loss
bars.
loss of freedom.
Trapped, loss of freedom. So the association of the image or the word prisoner, what comes to mind is lost. No. What else?
Confined to within four walls.
Again, the idea of lack of freedom. Maybe not loss, maybe lack. Because the prisoner can still move around in that space, but confined will add to it. Okay, what else? So what Alice picked up just now, this idea of sweet and pleasant. So being a prisoner, what's the experience?
Boring.
Okay,
Maybe I think.
boring. It could be, what's the opposite of sweet and pleasant?
Torment. um,
Sad.
I wouldn't say bitter, but torment.
What else? What else?
Fake.
Fake. Why fake? Searching.
Because I think this sentence, there are some conflicts in these sentences.
Specifically,
What?
what kind of a conflict?
Like chastity,
Mm,
and modesty.
mm.
sweet and pleasant. These words have conflicts.
So
Some positive.
it's
Yeah.
not positive.
Chastity is not positive, but modesty and sweet and pleasant seems like some positive words, but I think in fact they are not.
So the images being thrown to us in the first stanza appears to confuse the reader. It doesn't take you on a particular course of journey. It takes you kind of off course, if you like. You know, this idea of words like sweet and pleasant and modesty, and then you are coupling it with this image of being a prisoner, right? And the image that you get of a prisoner is one that's exactly how it's described here, chained, right? You're chained. You are not able to have your freedom. You can't move around. So there is that element of conflict. Where else in the poem that there's these ideas of conflicting imageries, of being trapped, of not having, maybe having lack of freedom, having a confined sense of self, being in a state of torment. Where else in the poem do you feel or do you see the same imageries?
That sentence, Doctor. Walls of marble, cleaning and shining to keep you safe, and then suddenly there's this gold lock and chain on a big solid black mahogany doors. At least show that it's all for you. So it's a very fancy sort of, like, like supposedly those gold locks and shining walls will keep her happy because it's fancy and it's comfortable.
And
It's
like,
ironic, right?
why go lock, right? Why lock?
So when you think of the word goal, what comes to mind?
Very, yeah, very wealthy lah. I mean, yeah, very wealthy,
Rich. Well,
rich.
So it's very expensive. The lock, you can just buy a cheap one, but no, he had to buy a very expensive lock. And it also denotes, maybe with expense, it also denotes a sense of security. It's very secure, so people can't break in, so you're safe, right? So there's nothing but the best for you, right? I will not get a cheap lock. It has to be the most expensive because then you are definitely safe. You're not gonna get intruders, right? But there is that element of irony. So this idea of security, it comes with lots of conditions, or it comes with lots of attachments. So this idea of security for what? Security for your love, right? The idea of loving somebody, does it need to come with lock and chain? Do you need to ensure that that person is kept in this locked home, right? Beautiful marble with mahogany doors and everything. It's very expensive. Does that define love? So in this poem, this idea of loving somebody and treating them in this particular way is the action complementary of how the person is being treated, how the person feels for the loved one. This idea of how loving and hopefully build this home full of ideals and dreams. So back to the marble and clean and shining walls, right? The gold lock and chain, this mahogany, solid black mahogany doors, very expensive. Okay, none of these comes cheap, right? So what is the persona's feeling throughout this poem? How does the persona feels throughout this poem?
He wish, or she, the persona wants to confine this person that they love with a beautiful home.
The persona is a female, right? But the persona
First one,
is
yeah, the first one I think it's female. Oh yes, the person is a female. Yeah, sorry.
the persona is a female, but she is describing how this other character is treating her,
Mm.
right? So, but how does she feel throughout this? The tone of the poem will tell you. How do you think she feels throughout the poem? Does she accept it? Does she love it? Is she frightened by it? Is she challenging it? Because you see the songs that you all have identified, you know the tone, you know what the voice of the song is feeling about this, about the issue that she is experiencing, right? So how does the persona in this poem feel?
Mm. I think she doesn't like it, but it is something that she has accepted. Yeah, because I don't think she can see a way out. She knows that marriage, I'm assuming it's a marriage here, uh, it's a transaction. So he gives her this wealth, but she has to give him her freedom. So she can see things very clearly, but I feel like the tone indicates she doesn't know what to do with it.
Any particular line that stands out that tells you she realizes she's caught, or she can't break free if she
Mm,
realizes this? Any line?
there is that question that he asks her, what more can you ask for? So that I feel like a very important um, question that I think, I don't know, all of us and get this at least once in our life. So what more can you ask for? And then can she tell him to not imprison her because she would like her freedom very much, I think. But that is something perhaps people assume, oh, it's not given.
So what's the unsaid when he asks, what more can you ask? What more can you ask for? What is the unsaid?
For me, she wants to not have a lock. I mean, a metaphorical lock. I'm not saying the go lock because it's safety. We want to avoid robbers. But it would be great if she can have the key to the lock. She wants freedom. She wants for him perhaps not to tell her, these are all for you. But is it really for her? If if the house is under his name, it's not really for her.
When he says, what more can you ask for? So he wants her to be what?
He wants her to be, I'm assuming, but I'm going to sound very condescending, to be a docile, happy, stay at home wife, which is a respectable thing, everyone, if that is your choice. But he wants that to be her choice. He didn't ask her what she wanted. He didn't ask her what would you like. He just basically said, I've given you this and this and this. So he's basically telling her, this is the answer to your destiny, and you cannot have anything else.
Does she know what she wants in this poem? Do you hear her ideas like, okay, this is what I want. I want to be free. I want to have my own space. I want to be able to do things for myself. I want the choice to, does she express, keeping in mind this is a female poet, right? Does she show what the female persona wants in this poem? Do you get that idea of her saying what Ruby said just now? Maybe she wants the lock, the key to this lock. Does she
Doctor,
express? Yeah,
I want to share some opinion.
please.
I think she is exploring what true love is because she is not sure what she is feeling. She felt oppressed, but at times she felt good. This conflict makes her feel unreal and makes her explore the meaning of love, trying to give an inner definition. He wanted her to be like an obedient kitten. He wants her to be a vessel of her personality as he wished. So I think the poet just want to transfer some equality desire to readers.
I like the idea that she is exploring this idea of love. So in this poem, you don't really know what she wants yet, because she is presenting to you not so much her ideas and her dreams and her vision, but his ideas and his vision, right, of what a relationship should be. He provides, and what does he provide? He provides the best, right? The most expensive, the best. Okay. And in return, basically he's saying, what else can you ask for? I've given you everything, right? But at the same time, you get that hint. You get the hint of, this feels like a prison cell. This glimmers feel like a knife, not like a diamond, but it feels like a knife. That means there's something scary, there's something confining, but I don't know yet, right? The walls seem beautiful, but it seemed beautiful and has been tested not for something positive, but for screams. So that means I can see myself being caught, right? I can see myself being caught. I can see myself, in a fearful situation with a knife, and I can see myself getting caught in this, and there is no way out for me. Even if I scream, no one's going to hear my voice, right? So I like that idea. What Xiao Qing said, that perhaps the persona is exploring this idea, and so you don't really hear her real ideas or thoughts, but there is the tone of irony. And in that tone of irony, you get the unsaid. You get what the persona really feels. Okay? She's being ironic when she says things like, it's the security is there, but it's been tested with screams. So you're not securing yourself against burglars, against night crawlers, against, if you remember the poem by William Blake, The Invisible Worm. No, right? The test is these walls will ensure that nobody hears if there are any screams coming in the house. So why would you scream? You would only scream when you're afraid for your life, when you're fearful, right? That element is embedded somehow, but you don't get that something has been done to her. You don't get that. She's not being abused yet, but you realize that this is her first impression. This is what she sees in this beautiful home. And the poem is, how crazy are those who love you so much? What happens when somebody loves, quote unquote, loves you? They manifest that love in a very crazy manner, right? So I just want to kind of ensure we cover this poem before we conclude the class. Any final thoughts from you? I don't want to end on a troubling note, but at the same time, such is the text. So any final thoughts from you?
Well, I think the poem is a fantastic poem. I think when you asked just now, what does she want? The first response I had in my head was, you do not know what you want if you was never allowed to know. You cannot want what you don't know. I think that is what I'm trying to say. For example, maybe she wants freedom of education, but what if she had never known concepts of freedom of education? So I think that speaks a lot about, but I'm just assuming a lot of girls who perhaps was brought up in a sheltered, very nice, comfortable life, but never allowed to make their own decision. So I love the poem because it hit that certain demographic. Yeah.
So the opportunity to explore is also another element that the female needs to have in order for her then to make up her mind what exactly she wants. So yeah, good point. Anything else?
Doctor, can I say something?
Please.
And I think the question from the male in the poetry, in the poem, what can you ask more for more? I think the answer maybe this is enough, that that's all you need in this marriage or something like that. And I think we can change the object. If we change the female, change it into some wealthy things like gold or diamond. It may be comfortable to think that like that, but if we put the female in this position, this will be very, very uncomfortable. And because we are females, and from this kind of perspective, it will make us feel unhappy when I first read this poem. Feel unhappy, irony, and I think I'm an emotional person, and some kind of sensitive. So this poem really impressed me.
Yeah, and I like the fact that what you mentioned as well. I think that's spot on. The kind of things that the male person is providing the female in the poem appears merely material things, right? The marble walls, the beautiful home, and the the thick mahogany door. So all these images, these are just representation of the material things. Nothing is said about emotional indulgence and security and all that, right? So that's the unsaid also that you may explore. You're right about that. Yeah. Anything else? We have another minute or so before we conclude. Any final thoughts?
I like the of course I like the class, but I really appreciate the first part of the class, where you asked us, what's our role? What do you think of us in the family, in the society? Because somehow it I didn't even know until today that my role was sort of nurturing, doctor. But that's one way to look at myself and feel better about it, and then it's not and I'm very thankful that everyone else is sharing their thoughts as well, because it opens um my eyes, and like what other people are like in other country, and how they are treated, because I didn't know if Alice and Cherish didn't share their experience, and how they would be asked about the boyfriends and stuff. It was, yeah, I really like the first part of the class that we share. So thank you, doctor. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Finally, Xiao Cheng, do you want to say any final thoughts before we conclude the class?
Yes, I want to say about that poem about how crazy, how crazy those who love you so much I think I can find myself in this poem. And I might even say that the image of the woman as in life who is bound in the name of love. When we love someone, it's easy to let ourselves get close to them or to demand that they get close to us. This subjective will, to some extent, is actually binding. So I prefer intimacy based on similarities in the spiritual world as well as in other areas such as material life. In China, this is called matching families, but not only based on the similar classes. Mm, by doing this, it is possible for female to have more real personality independence in the emotional world or love world.
Meaning, if the woman comes from upper middle class society, family, then she is matched with a man from the same class. Is it?
No, not only the same class.
Same
It's
background.
yes. This background may be some material life, undoubtedly. But most importantly, I think some spirit background and some values about the life
Yep.
and the career. Yes.
Yeah. So you have to find your match, and I think it's great if you have the say in making the selection for yourself. But if it's made for you in an arranged marriage situation, if it is made for you, then the responsibility is in the hands of your caregivers to make sure that they make good selections for the female, for the bride, basically, future bride. So on that note, I think today's session, at least, I think it allows each and every one of you the opportunity to kind of say the things that I have experienced as a female, the day-to-day things that I have experienced as a female, as a member of a particular family, member of a particular community or culture or society. That is also relevant in the way you approach texts written by your fellow females, no matter which background. It can be America, it can be China, it can be Korea even. But we are all experiencing this idea of being female in our own unique, but at the same time, very connected way. We are females in our respective environment, and it is unique, right? How Shah is, and Ruby is, and Xiao Ching and Dong Lai, we are all different, but at the same time, there is something connecting us, and we share similar expectations, demands, pressures, hopes, and aspiration. Yeah. So basically, when you approach literature and you're reading text from gendered perspective, those are some of the issues that you can bring up, you can focus on based on what the text also allows you. I hope that has been a good session for you, and I hope it kind of helps you look at text and interpretation specifically from a gendered perspective. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody, for your participation today. I really appreciate that.